This is Pondering Pixar, completing the shelf's review of the top 10 Pixar movies. And now, your hosts, Chris.
Welcome back to Completing the Shelf as we continue pondering the top 10 Pixar movies according to Rotten Tomatoes. So, Coco began production in 2011 by Pixar directors Lee Unkrich and Adrian Molina, and both of these gentlemen committed themselves and their team to telling the kind of imaginative story marked by detailed world building and lovable characters like we've come to expect from Pixar, but they really wanted to focus on telling a tale that was authentic to the Mexican culture which the story was rooted in. So, they took trips down to Mexico to literally live in the spaces of the film's representative culture. The artists and the production crew kind of just let Mexican culture seep into their being and permeate their imaginations. So what was the result? Well, Coco in 2017. Coco follows a young boy named Miguel as he pursues his dream of becoming a world-famous musician, like his idol, Ernesto de la Cruz. Like most Disney characters, Miguel has to rebel against his family in some way on his journey to realize his dream. But on that journey, Miguel ends up cursed and in the land of the dead, populated by these colorful, beautiful skeletons that kind of play with our idea of what a skeleton looks like. I mean, if you were heavyset in real life, your skeleton is thicker boned. They kind of take some liberty with the character design there. But to get home, Miguel must get the blessing of Ernesto de la Cruz, who he thinks is his supposed great-great-grandfather. Along the way, though, his perspective and values kind of shift because of what he learns about his family. With all that behind me, though, let's get into what I liked about this film. I've already expressed some of my thoughts about this movie in other video essays on this channel, so go check them out. But I'll highlight some different details here. I specifically loved the art direction of this film. It was as if Pixar was trying to do a Miyazaki film with computer-generated images. I really loved Pepita, Mama Imelda's alebrije. The alebrijes are bursting with color and imagination. I just love the art direction. I wanted to see more, and I wanted to own some. And while I was watching the movie, it drew me back to the Mexican pavilion in Epcot. And I always saw these little carved wooden animals that had intricate painted details and stuff, but I never really knew what they meant. Now that I know, I want some. Aside from the alebrijes, I loved the growth that Miguel went on. I'm going to go into more depth about his development in another video essay, but where he starts is so relatable. I absolutely loved the scene in the attic of his home as he sits before an old TV watching and playing along with Ernesto de la Cruz. The directors knew to focus a lot on the details, on the way he strums the guitar and closes his eyes as he almost becomes one with the music. Now, I know that's kind of corny, but there is a psychological concept called flow, I believe, when you're living in the moment of a creative act and time stands still. I've experienced that, and I really appreciate how this film captures that experience with a cartoon. Anyway, I could go on and on about this film, but I wanted to also praise its ability to build a fascinating world without just dumping boring exposition on the audience. The characters themselves are used to unspool the rules of the land of the dead through meaningful moments, like the one where Hector's friend is forgotten and experiences his second death. It's then that we learn how this all works and why it's critical for Hector to get his picture on a ofrenda. But why don't I put this on a shelf before I keep rambling on about this beautifully made film? So, you probably guessed it. This is a top shelf film for me. It's endlessly rewatchable because it's fun. It has playful music. The heart-wrenching moments between characters that span generation just make you use tissues a lot. And, of course, the beautiful visuals are there to make me just fall in love and want to just look at it. Disney and Pixar, they did it again with their masterful Coco. But now let's hear from you. On our Facebook group, Completing the Shelf, we have the results from our poll, which has 4 votes for top shelf and 3 votes for second shelf. Only 2 of you voters decided to provide a review, so we'll start with Jennifer, who offered a very succinct review. And she said, "It's good. Have tissues." And then we get to Jill. She said that she was blown away by the vibrant colors in this film, which reminded her of Finding Nemo in that regard. Knowing next to nothing about the Day of the Dead, she found that a special connection with her own Japanese heritage, as they have a similar ritual in August called Oban. A surprise darker twist towards the third quarter of the film, and the lack of sing-along songs that Disney is known for keeps this from being a top shelf. She said, "Could I watch it again? Sure, with a box of tissues." Thank you both for sharing your thoughts on Coco. You know, our experience of these films only gets richer when we get to talk about them and kind of wrestle with them a little bit with others. So I really appreciate your thoughts there. If you enjoyed this episode of Pondering Pixar, please like and subscribe. You can tweet me at Shelf Nerds and join the conversation on Facebook. Just type Completing the Shelf in the search bar. So until next time, thank you for listening to Completing the Shelf.